Let's shoot the shit. Yeah, 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 yeah. Come on, let's shoot the shit. Let's pontificate. Family masturbate. Come on, come on, come on. Let's shoot the shit. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's time to shoot the shit. Come on, come on, come on, come on, motherfucker. Let's shoot the shit.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Fearless QA. We are shooting the shit with James Rouse. Did I say that right?
You did.
James Rouse, who is he's an MD. He is a doctor. You may have seen him on TV. You're on TV a fair amount, right?
I'm on TV quite a bit.
This is not TV, James.
This is cool, though.
It's web TV, but we get to talk for a long time because there's no ratings, so we can't be canceled. We can't be pulled off the air. I'm also happy to have my dad back. My dad was on the show last week. Got a lot of good comments, and you were a lot of people thought it was the best show ever, and it wasn't because of me, because I've been on all the shows.
That's
so it must,
true.
yeah.
I can see that.
So it must have been because of you.
Oh,
So
thank you, everybody.
He's going to play the part of Ed McMahon, hopefully for a while. And this
Here's Alex.
well, Ed never said that. Mostly what we're looking for is just some laughs, like yes, a lot of that from my dad, some guffaws, and not a lot of comments. But we'll see how that goes. So welcome.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Alex.
Good to have you guys. So what James has been all about is nutrition for a long time, and most recently you came up with this idea of Mix One and really clean sports nutrition, and it's almost I don't know if it's a backlash to what's happening with doping or if it's the new doping. I think it's a little bit of both, right? So
I like that. That's a great tag, the brand new doping.
I think it. Well, I think that really clean food, as athletes get away from doping, is becoming sort of the new doping. You find that if you are very specific about what's going into your body, you can change your performance in all sorts of ways.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you what you know, just because we've had conversations about this. But yeah, talk to us about how did you get started in this?
Well, you know, it is actually something that for many years, you look at how it is, and sports nutrition has been, typically when it's been convenient sports nutrition, it's something where you looked up the ingredient panel, and you'd say, my gosh, I don't recognize 3/4 of the ingredients.
Right.
You know, things that you'd find in a laboratory versus you'd find in a farm or find in your grocery store, let alone. So the goal was to really, if you will, align great nutritional principles with natural food and science, and putting those two things together,
Right.
so you get uncanny great performance.
And we are going to actually make some, while we talk about what's going on with sports and what's going on with nutrition, we're going to make Mix One right here. And you know, I was joking. You can't go home and make a little Gatorade. You couldn't go home and make a little muscle milk, right?
That'd be a challenge.
It would be,
Yeah, you know, you
yeah.
can, I think
Now, unless you were a chemist
Right.
and you had an entire chemistry set in your house, then you could make muscle milk.
yeah, and you've had some special blue and some special green to actually bring that wonderful fluorescent glow in the dark beverage, which is also another opportunity. But,
Yeah. But, and I actually, so I think that it's a great proof point about what's in here is you can make it, you know. So, and you're not even afraid to show people how to make it, because I think if people bother to do it, they'll realize, well, you know, I'm going to buy it too, right?
That's the goal.
Yeah. So, how are we gonna make it? We have mixers and stuff. Dad, can you grab the mixer? Do you want to bring that up here? And
You-
we'll keep talking.
One of the cool things I think that
Oh, okay.
I'll go ahead and throw stuff in there and actually we have an extension cord. But the cool thing, Alex and Bill, and I think this is something a lot of people can relate to, there's a lot going on in nutrition these days, and you're seeing a lot of awesome ingredients that are coming into play. Things like acai and things
I can never say that.
It's a tough word out of the gate just to even pronounce.
Acai.
Acai.
And it's not spelled right.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Where's our acai?
How do they spell it?
There's our acai right there.
Yeah, no, acai. I mean, I recognize the acai, and I've definitely been looking for it and to get more acai in my diet.
We're all trying to get more acai in our diets, and along with that, we've got things like mangosteen, which is another superfruit we're reading about. Bill, you've probably seen that. Yeah, superfruits. And these things called superfruits, we're finding them more and more out there for everything. They promise longevity, they promise anti-aging, they promise performance.
How come you looked at him when you said anti-aging? Yeah.
I was actually, sorry, Bill, but but you can relate to this. I'm almost 50 years old, and I know that.
Come on.
Absolutely, and I think that things almost.
Do you drink this stuff?
Absolutely.
Is this what's going on here?
That's what's going on there. Yeah, that and a whole lot of yoga.
This is yoga?
Yeah,
Those are yoga muscles?
We'll demo some other things too, yeah, for
Wow.
sure. There's a couple yoga postures that are awesome for developing.
I know the one where you stand on one arm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, that one's
Well,
fantastic.
that would seem to be good.
That one's really good.
Guns.
You follow each of those with one of these mixed ones. But I think what's really cool about that, Alex, is that we all have the best of intentions. And I think what's interesting is that life tends to want to kind of get in the way of our best of intentions.
When he said that, he looked at me, best intentions, and not at you. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
No.
No. I'm glad you noticed it, though.
So go ahead.
Well,
I just was thinking, we don't all have best intentions, but many of us do.
A lot of us have intentions.
We have best intentions for ourselves.
Right. And we want to feel better.
Yeah.
I think it's a commonality that a lot of people relate to is wanting to feel better.
Yeah.
So the things that are important to us, and I'm not just believing in terms of high performance for professional athletes. Equally, if not more important, Mixed One's really built the whole idea that everyone's an athlete at some capacity.
Right.
As a mom or a dad, you're an athlete, and you've got things that you'd love to do better at. There's a thing that I know that when after a busy day of traveling, if my blood sugar's in my feet, I can't walk through the door of my house and be the kind of dad I want to be until I get my physiology back in balance.
Right.
So it's an athletic moment for me, if you will, to try to get myself back in a place where I can walk through the door and perform as a dad, not just, if you will, the guy who just carried 12 hours of baggage from United Airlines and a late flight in Chicago.
Right.
My kids don't care.
No.
They want to see their dad who wants to perform and be a good athlete in that moment.
Right.
And that's what Mixed One's really all about. Great ingredients that you can put to work in your body, so your body and your mind can perform and really help you to do the things you want to do.
And how did you get a start? You were working in another business, right, before this, or
I was actually practicing. Had a family practice down in Denver, and it's interesting. A lot of my patients said the same thing, that a lot of things they were looking for when it came to nutrition that was convenient wasn't available.
Right.
They look at the ingredients and they wouldn't feel good about the brand. They wouldn't feel good about the ingredients. They didn't feel good drinking the products.
Yes. I told you one time that I had that muscle milk, and we were
What
out.
happened to you?
We were out and we were riding downhill mountain bikes in Keystone, and there was a little tent set up there, and I was like, oh, awesome, muscle milk. I need something to get me through the rest of the day, and I had some, and it tanked the whole rest. I don't know. I can't be sure it was the muscle milk, but the whole rest of the day was kind of ruined, and a few of us had it, so it took my energy down, and it gave me a weird feeling in my head, and we were talking about that, and you said it may have been the Ace K or something.
Yeah, there's
like that,
a
right?
special artificial sweetener.
Which I don't have at home to make muscle milk. I don't have Ace K.
There's a lot of things in these products out there that you don't look in the ingredient list and you're saying, gosh, you know what? When you see here at Mix One, you're going to see things like whey protein. You're going to see organic cane. You're not going to see a lot of the things that you're going to find in a lot of products out there in the competitive market. Things like Ace K, artificial sweeteners that you can't pronounce, and you really wonder, how does your body even put those to work?
Yeah.
That's a really important question, because Alex, you're out there having an awesome ride, and you think you want to get some nutrition put to work back in your body so you get a great performance the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah.
And your body's going, you know what? This isn't food.
Right.
And it starts to reject it, your brain and your body start to come undone, and your performance starts to wane.
Right. Well, and that's something too that you've talked about and talked about, I guess, with your work with the Boston Red Sox too, that the performance doesn't really limit itself to the body. What you put in your body winds up affecting performance and your mind as well.
Exactly, and it's an interesting thing because there's a lot of people out there, especially folks, and again, I'm going to say our age, because collectively we're all in that little part of our life that there's diminishing return. Right.
Yeah, something like that.
There's some crashing and burning going on.
Yeah,
but there's
I'm
also
pulling back on the stick. It's me. He's like, "What are you doing?" That's
I don't
me
know,
crashing.
I was going to reel you in for a minute.
Yeah, it's me crashing, pulling back on the stick.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you were doing.
But the point is that we have, there's a physiology that all of us have that we can either have it conspiring for our greatness or, if you will, in a tailspin.
Right.
And a lot of people, the challenge is that the decline can be so insidious. We don't realize it's even happening.
Right.
So between our 30s and our 40s, things are starting to go downhill, but it's so subtle, we're starting to think, gosh, you know what, is this just how it goes?
Yeah.
And there's so much good research.
Well, you have
out
everybody telling you that's how it goes.
Right.
Right.
Well,
So
it's not that subtle either. Sometimes it's not very subtle. at all.
Sometimes it's overt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But I'm going to need some of this stuff to stand here for an hour.
Well, you know what? Let's even start, because we'll go ahead and do the intervention right here. Because Bill, you told me from South Beach, right? So this is our sort of South Beach flavor. This is key lime.
Oh boy, I do like that.
Give it a shot.
Hey, Art, is Art around? Can you set up the blender while we keep going? We don't have any way to blend. We got berries and stuff that we got to blend.
Well, that's all very good. It's not like other drinks I've had, which are very, either they're chalky or they taste vitamin-y. This doesn't have any of that.
But do you
It's like a Slurpee.
So when you look at it, like I love the packaging and I love the story, but when I look at it, it's hard for me to know, right? So as a lot of marketers watch this show, and we've talked about this too. Like how do you do a nutrition brand that's as cool as Mix One, but at the same time somehow tell the story? There goes the blender. Somehow tell the story that this stuff is a different approach. It is not another muscle milk. Because I think you could easily say, oh, it's another muscle milk. It's not. It's actually the opposite of a muscle milk.
It's like the anti-muscle milk.
It's anti-muscle milk.
It is, and it's a great point, Alex. One of the challenges we've had in marketing is how do we actually tell such a story on that little bit of real estate,
Right.
without coming off, if you will, and which we're not want to do. We don't want to come off as someone, but wait, there's more,
Right.
and try to add all these attributes,
Right.
but really try to keep it clean
Keep it simple.
and keep it functional and simple. To your point,
Yeah.
that's been one of our great challenges.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that a lot of people at least will be drawn to the color palette. And then, more importantly, when they turn it around and look what's in there,
Yeah.
they're drawn to the ingredient profile and go, gosh, you know what, ingredients I can recognize, things I've heard about that I want to get more into my diet.
Yeah.
And as athletes, more and more of us know that pre and post performance is probably the most single greatest pieces to making sure you can be an athlete
But
for
this-
the duration of your life.
So, but this does not come in pre and post, right? This is one thing that you would use pre and post.
Exactly.
So that's the
it can
idea?
double. You can do it
Okay.
before you work out or after you work out. And this is really interesting because I know you love to exercise. Bill, you love to
I don't really
exercise.
like it.
You don't like it, but you do it.
I do
Because
it.
you know you should do it, right?
No, I do. Sometimes I
He
enjoy
works
it.
out like crazy. What's he?
He does. I mean, look at this guy.
See, look at me. Look at you. You both
I'm
have
wasting.
body.
I'm wasting away.
Well, I had in my waiting room in my office, Alex.
All right, thanks.
I had a sign above my waiting room couch that said, "Exercise only on the days that you eat." And
Right.
people love that because it's
funny.
sort of on one level you're kind of going, "Cool, I can get away with it."
Right.
But you're thinking, "Oh gosh, you know, I'm actually planning on eating today."
I eat almost every day.
Rats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to move.
Right.
It's not optional.
Right.
So with that said, I think what's cool about. Did you already finish that, Bill?
I'm almost finished with it. I feel like going for a trot.
Good. Good.
At least a jog.
Yes.
But this idea of doping, I think, and it's almost like doping your whole lifestyle in a way too, right? And you had said some of the time when you're with the Red Sox or other professional athletes, probably amateur athletes, and I don't know if this is a backlash or if this is just them talking to you because they think this is what you want to hear, but they talk about the idea that it's not just the sports and it's not just the performance on that day that they're looking for. They're looking for a long career. They're looking for a legacy. They're looking for a head on their shoulders that makes them want to give back to the community and be involved. And they're somehow seeing linkages between food and all that, which I think for most of us is a stretch. Right? Like, how does that have anything to do with food?
You have to expand on that.
Yeah. What's going on?
I think there's a lot going on around this whole idea of legacy, and I think people realizing that life expectancies are growing longer, but the quality
Except
of,
for children. Our children that are born today.
Interesting. I mean, there's a window right now.
Right.
You're right. Folks our age, hopefully, are going to get a chance to live a little bit longer.
Yeah.
What's going on with our children in terms of their legacy around diet and nutrition is exactly the opposite.
Right.
We're seeing diminished.
We're like the last generation that gets to have a long, well, unless we change things.
And that may play a role in what I think a lot of professional athletes are starting to look at, and how it is that what they're representing to their fan base, how it is that they're role modeling actually with, I think, with the media is getting into what they do all day long, what they do when they leave the ballpark. All these different things are now a positive conspiracy, if you will, that's sort of raising everyone's game outside of the game to say, how am I performing in other areas of my life? So that also can be something that can be a positive story or a legacy and everything else that I do.
Well, what I hear is happening with a lot of pro athletes is they're getting insane about and being what orthorexic was the term that someone introduced the other day, which is a condition where you're overly concerned about your food. I like the idea of being an orthorexic. I want to buy orthorexia.com and put something cool there, but athletes are taking that approach where they want to know the provenance of everything. They want the cleanest foods possible, right? And that's an aspect of their lives that we're not getting to see. And wouldn't it be amazing if kids out there realized athletes are not all over junk food or all over processed foods. Actually, athletes are really into something that I'm just beginning to learn about. And just for our culture and for our children, who do children look up to and try to model after? Obviously, athletes is a big part of that. There's a big opportunity there.
There's a tremendous opportunity. I think what's so cool about that is that we're more and more interested in where is our food coming from, to your point. And because a lot of athletes are being tested these days, the difference between a supplement versus a food is very important. Mixed one's classified as a food versus a supplement. That's an important distinction for a lot of athletes with the testing. But to your point as well, I think this whole idea where people want to know where things are coming from is also starting to translate into how it is that there's sort of there's a raising of intention around how can you be a part of a support system that is much more, how should we say, beneficial beyond just the bottom line goal, which may be just performance. And how can what I do and the choices I make raise other areas of concern at the same time, so I can really use my stardom or my power to really be a beneficial presence. I mean, ultimately, it's so interesting. When I was traveling in Asia when I was younger, I was always fascinated by how much they always talk about your footprint, not so much the way we do in terms of Boulder with our carbon footprint, but in Asia more about how much your beneficial presence is a footprint for others to follow in.
And they talk about that on a regular basis?
All the time. So, what you're leaving behind is the beneficial presence. How cool is that? So choosing like this, being mindful of what you're doing, is absolutely that beneficial presence.
Is there anything within Mix One where if Mix One succeeds, here's how that ripples out?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the little things we've done out of the gate, using things like fair trade, organically sweetened, organic cane, if you will, as part of our sweetening process. That was a big step for a young company, because a lot of companies sometimes back in, if you will, into the green. We try to start off as green as possible and still honor the fact that we had to try to build a business that would work. Which is not always easy.
It's
dynamic tension there.
It's not easy. And you have a house, this is off point, but you have a house that's not on the grid, right?
We're completely off the grid, solar powered up in the mountains, which is really fun and also challenging when the snow comes.
What do? You just like...
Get a lot of blankets, to get the wood fire going. But our solar power actually keeps us about 6 days, if you will, just with what we can store from the sun.
And then there are some days where you can use a toaster, and other days you're like, no toast today, kids.
we're going raw. We're doing exactly, absolutely.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. And do you have like a big dial that like toast? How do you
toasting decide, is happening
how
today?
How do you decide like oven on? Is there any control panel like that?
We actually, behind our house, we have a gauge that tells us how much we can get away with. Is it going to be a hot tub or a lukewarm tub? I mean, it's that kind of thing. We can. It's kind of cool, though.
It is cool. Well, it's sort of realistic to what's going on. Do you want to make something?
Yeah, let's do that, because, again, check out the ingredients in this, Alex. You're going to go, oh my gosh, I've read about all these
I didn't know there was something called mango steam. That seems made up. I've heard of mango.
Yeah.
Mango steam.
Mango steam, another super.
Is it like a Jewish mango? Mango steam.
Oh my god.
The mango steams from down the road. How do we open it?
You want me to open this?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm opening things.
Okay, let's do it.
Should I just drink some of this?
Yeah, give that a shot and see if you'll even like it.
Okay. I'm not gonna like it.
You probably won't like it. It's pretty concentrated.
Is it really? Wow. It's
Is it really bad?
No, it's kind of good actually, but it's like a shot of super super fruit.
Oh,
Right?
wow. I don't like that. I mean, I should have
It's
said
pretty
it's
intense.
really
Pretty
good
intense.
for you,
Yeah.
but that's not something you would have a lot of.
But you should go, everyone should go buy some of this. I don't even know who
Yeah.
makes it, but just go get some. Shoot some of this stuff every day. I think
Yep.
it's going to be good for you.
Bill,
This is all about antioxidants.
Exactly.
Right?
And the antioxidant thing is really important. Bill, you're going to appreciate this. How are you making out over there? Is that, here you go.
Okay, I got it.
Is this whole thing
It's
that...
child-proof, so it's going to take a minute.
There's more.
There's
Yeah.
another layer of protection.
Jeez.
Good.
In naturopathic
I'm starting to
medicine,
like this.
which is my
Why
background...
do I need to try this?
Yeah, please do. Go ahead and give it a hit. We do a lot in naturopathic medicine about how it is that every cell is getting attacked about 10,000 times a day by these things called free radicals.
Right.
Now, free radicals will age our skin, they'll age our cells, they'll almost fast forward the aging process.
Right.
So
And the
what-
more you exercise, in a way, that can get worse,
Boy,
right?
you
Not
nail it.
better.
And it's so interesting because a lot of folks who love to do endurance type training, you go out in the hot sun and the elevation and push 3 and 4 hours on their bicycle. What happens a lot is the cells are really creating a lot of free radical activity, which can fast forward the aging.
It's like you're rusting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things we do differently with Mix One, we put antioxidants actually in the product itself, so it actually helps with recovery, fights inflammation, but at the same time helps to fight back against the free radicals that are created when you're exercising.
Right.
Which is a big, important
And,
distinction.
and there's no way to not create free radicals
you
when you
can't do
exercise.
it. By virtue of just being here, you and I, 3 of us hanging out, talking and breathing, we're rusting.
Yeah.
So how do we fight
I've
back?
noticed. Yeah.
So you want to get dark colors in your diet.
Okay.
The darker the color, the more the antioxidant activity.
That's interesting.
So I mean, this is an unbelievable
Yeah, that's
dark.
black.
And that's black.
Yeah.
So tons of antioxidants.
Yeah.
Let's see what this guy looks
You know,
like.
this is not a black bottle. This is black juice.
And check. Let's see what this color
This
is.
looks like tar.
It's a little bit lighter, but
Not
still
enough antioxidants.
fairly dark
Do
hue.
you think that's pretty good?
I think that's pretty
Okay.
good. And then we got
And
pomegranates,
there's pure mangosteen. Okay.
really dark red. We've got, well,
People
how
love-
dark is that one?
people-
I'm
love
okay with
pomegranate
everything.
now.
What's this goji?
Goji is actually from Tibet.
From Tibet.
From Tibet. That's a nice antioxidant berry from Tibet.
Okay.
The thing about
Of course you
pomegranates
have.
is I just don't like the look of them. You know, a lot of these new fruits,
Thanks, Bill.
we just haven't been raised on them, and they just look weird. Like a banana probably looks weird to somebody, but it looks normal to me.
So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and just pass these your way. There's some.
Pomegranate's got, it looks like a bullet went through it. It's got that thing on the end where, you know, the picture of an apple being shot? That's what a pomegranate looks like. You got going tight on that pomegranate. It's not right. Okay.
So go ahead and pour it. This is the
Pour this in. Pour it in here.
mangosteen.
Put it in here?
Yep.
Okay.
Here's the acai.
It's got
Do we put-
goji in there, be careful.
Do we put any muscle milk in here? Is that one of the...
You are, I'll look the other way if you want to. Okay. Maybe open really a couple of these capsules. This is our pomegranate. All right. I don't know if that's going to be very good tasting, but let's go ahead and put it in there. There we go.
Usually this stuff comes out surprisingly good.
It's
We had
amazing.
Justin from Justin Nut Butter on.
Best peanut butter in the world.
Made some fresh nut butter, and not like you're thinking. And it was so good.
Okay.
Now, you know, peanuts is a whole other thing there.
Peanuts?
Yeah.
We made nut butter out of, you can make it out of any nut. It
I'm
doesn't have to
talking
be
about
almond butter.
allergies and things.
Correct.
You know what's cool about Justin's nut butter, though, as well as his peanut butter, his almond butter
Yeah.
is off the hook the best.
Yeah, it's the best.
And I was just reading a cool study about people who eat almonds. This is a little kind of interesting thing. They had 2 groups of people, 400 each actually.
I eat a lot of almonds. I hope this is good.
It's an
news.
awesome study. So these 2 groups of 400 people were trying to maintain a healthy weight or lose weight. And basically the group that had the exact same amount of calories, exact same amount of diets, except for one part of the diet for one group was made up of almonds to derive the same amount of calories.
Right.
The almond eating group lost on average 67% more body fat
Wow.
than the non-almond eating group. Cool thing about it, the lion's share of that weight loss was all in the midsection, which is very nice. So hips and belly.
It's kind of a radical notion that I've just felt is true, that a calorie is not a calorie, right? I mean, not just from a nutritional point of view, but from the cocktail that gets created within your body. And I don't think we're really quite understanding that in general in science right now.
I think that's a great point, this whole idea of empty calories versus usable calories. your body recognizes calories it can actually put to work.
But that's beyond empty and usable, right? Because all of those, I would imagine that they didn't say, okay, with the almond group, it's a more usable. They probably had a usable calorie in proxy on the other with the test, right? I think it's much more. There's something else going on that you could consume the same amount of calories, but you could be leaner.
Yes.
Do we get that? Do we understand that?
I think it's a little bit of it, and the whole idea, like an almond's one of those cool foods that actually has a combination of great amino acids, great protein building blocks, awesome monounsaturated fats, a kind of nice ratio of carbs and proteins.
Right.
So it's nutrient density. Your body goes, wow, this is awesome. I'm going to use all of this.
Right.
And it actually creates energy at a higher level than you would just, if you will, just calories.
But we have a lot of people saying that sugar is an equivalency of high fructose corn sweetener. And this sort of experiment would say, wait, not necessarily.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
Do we have any data where you just change those two ingredients with two comparable diets?
Well, they do. I mean, the whole idea of some sugars, if you will, are more easily recognized by the body as usable and put to work, versus ones that really kind of muck up the works.
Yeah.
And high fructose corn syrup, not only is it a glycemic nightmare in terms of how much it changes your blood sugar, but processing and putting that sugar to work as usable food is absolutely devastating on the body.
So somehow it is more difficult to metabolize, and so that we do. You think that research indicates that maybe that would contribute to diabetes more so than a regular sugar?
Absolutely.
And we have that research. Have you seen
I think the research is starting to indicate.
starting to come in?
Yeah, nothing conclusive.
Can you send it to me?
I will, because a lot of things are pointing in that direction. And I think what's cool about the whole idea of your body has wisdom, Alex, and the key thing is to remember that with that wisdom, let your wisdom work on your behalf.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to fake it out by putting stuff in there. I'm just going to give you a little bit of support there.
You can't lie to the body.
No.
And the intuition that the body comes back with, we keep saying, I don't know, and people argue that intuition is not worth anything, but I don't really think that that's true.
I agree. Go ahead and hit that. See what happens.
Which button?
Let's see. We'll go ahead and do this.
This is your one. This is your Vitamix 3000.
Here we go.
I was faking like we couldn't hear anything. But
Okay, so Bill,
some of this.
are you going to be the one who steps in and says whether or not this is working for
Is he
us?
going to drink it out of this?
So far, I'm standing. Still standing. Oh,
Whoa.
great move.
Whoa.
Nice.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Whoa!
This is my first cooking show. It's actually not. It's my second cooking show. You should have warned me about the
Sorry,
top. This
Tiger.
is your blender.
Yeah, I did.
You're
forgot.
like, oh, you can't pour it with the top on, but go for
Oh,
it.
this can't be good for you.
Does it taste good?
Oh, are you kidding?
Go ahead.
It's
Look at
incredible.
that.
Yeah, a little bit of this.
Okay, that
It's
is.
outstanding.
So what would you put in? You put in a little mix one. What would you put in if you were at home? Oh, glass is coming in. Thank you. What would
Thanks,
you,
Art.
What would you put in if you hadn't poured in the mix one? What would somebody at home? Is that like a little milk, a little?
A little bit of milk. You can use soy milk, almond milk, whatever the case may be. The fruit that you like. You know, the key.
Oh, it's awesome. It's like a smoothie, sort
You
of.
don't
Exactly.
have any milk
This
in
is
there.
really
That's
awesome.
right the way it is.
And that's just basically juicing. Now, one of the key ingredients here is something called whey protein isolate. And whey protein isolate, they kind of grade proteins. And we talk about how, usable calories and proteins that are really kind of best for your body.
Right.
When it comes to training and sports, and also if you're even maintaining healthier blood sugar, whey protein isolate, they kind of grade proteins. They start over here on a scale of 70 to about 150. 150 being the best kind of biological value, meaning how well your body can recognize it
Right.
and put that protein to work.
Yeah.
Whey protein isolate sits in the very top of the scale. And it's one of the best proteins in terms of your body putting to
Can
work.
you buy
right away.
that?
You can buy it. You can buy it in powder form. And that's the kind of protein we use in Mix 1
Okay.
because it's really good for once you're done exercising, getting that protein right into your body, right into the muscle itself, so it can go to work and repairing after you're done training.
I'm so bad at eating after exercise. Like I really just don't do it. It'll go. I know there's that window. Isn't there a window? You should describe that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a thing called a glycogen window. And Bill, I think one of the exercise goals that a lot of us have is maintaining healthy weight, right? And when exercise, you can hopefully lose a few pounds, feel better. Interesting enough is that if you skip the meal or if you miss that window, your body's ability to burn fat At the same time, repair muscle so you can actually get a good workout your next time diminishes over time. By the time 45 minutes has gone by, almost the cell that was so hungry after you're done exercising is almost done in its ability to actually take in nutrition. So you've got a window of vulnerability that really allows your body to really fully recover, but at the same time keep your fat burning window alive and well the rest of the day.
Oh, really?
Exactly.
So if you eat something, you actually extend that fat burning?
Exactly.
God damn it.
So that's a key thing. So whey protein's awesome for that.
Well, you should have known these things.
I know these things, but I prefer to just not eat and just continually stress my body. Is kind of my approach. You know,
That's good for you.
don't eat before, don't eat during, and then don't eat after.
During what?
During exercise. That's been my approach often, and yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
Well, here's what's interesting.
And the antioxidants and all that. So.
Well, there's this whole phenomenon and why we age unhealthily and why our performance tends to go downhill when we're exercising and not eating real well.
Yeah.
We get really catabolic. You know, cancer patients lose their life because they become catabolic. They start losing all the lean muscle tissue and their body basically can't survive.
Yeah.
So what happens to athletes who train time and time again, they tend to be very catabolic. Endurance athletes, triathletes.
So I'm like simulating cancer.
Oh God, no! We don't want to go there. No,
All right,
I'm not going to go there.
It just
But
sounds terrible.
just breakdown. So for us as athletes, and all of us as athletes, you know, your person is working 10, 12, 14 hours a day
Yeah.
because using your mind all day long, you're burning calories, you're respirating, you've got all these free radicals going on.
Yeah.
You need to continually keep yourself from getting catabolic to fight back against aging. But at the same time, keep your lean muscle mass on because lean muscle is one of the most important, they call it a biomarker.
Yeah.
It's one of the most important ways that we can actually help fight premature or unhealthy aging. So that's a really important distinction.
And you in your practice do blood tests and then identify a patient by their blood type and what I guess what issues might occur with that blood type, and then prescribe a diet that matches that.
Right. You can see, from someone's blood work, you're going to see deficiencies or stresses on the body. You can kind of do a lot of nutritional support to help head it off at the pass before it becomes an overt disease process, hopefully.
Right.
But we know that lifestyle disease, if you will, chronic disease.
So it's not a type of blood. It's just you look at at what's going on in the body through the blood.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's so interesting. They've done some studies around athletes, and they say that, you know, one of the big deals around what's happening a lot with people these days is inflammation. And inflammation drives a lot of diseases, whether it be Alzheimer's disease, cancer, all sorts of the chronic diseases we most fear. Inflammation is the driving force behind them. So one of the things we have to work on is how do we actually fight inflammation? And interesting enough is that antioxidants are a big part of it.
Right.
But also what's really important too is understanding how on an emotional level, when you're the type of person who goes into your day and you really do some of the practices that you know, make you feel better, build some optimism, make you feel more positive,
Right.
that also helps to fight inflammation. Because hardcore athletes and hardcore couch potatoes both have inflammation.
Right.
Both of them do. One of them's more acute, which is the athletic mark side, but the chronically couch potato person has chronic inflammation which drives disease. Same people both need to be treated, if you will, to fight that inflammation, to help them perform better in life.
When you're working with an athlete, do you start with some blood work?
Absolutely.
You do?
Right out of the gate.
It's the first thing that happens.
First thing that we do.
Would you recommend to people out there that they do the same, that they get with a nutritionist?
Get with a nutritionist, and I think really assess your diet. I mean, the beautiful thing is, first thing in the morning, you wake up and you go through your fridge, and everything in there is going to sort of set the hormonal or chemical tone in your body. Everything that passes your teeth sets the hormonal tone for the day, emotionally and physically. And that's an awesome opportunity for so many people to kind of wrap their minds around. I think so many people say, well, we start off mainlining the caffeine, and then from there we go on and grab the grip steak and the Danish, and all of a sudden we sort of feel like our physiology is starting to fade by 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we go back to the well for more caffeine.
Right.
And let's decide, you know what? I can actually create a momentum. First thing in the morning and establish good hormonal harmony, if you will, and chemistry that's working on my behalf to deliver the results I'm looking for.
What's a good breakfast? Don't say mix one.
Okay.
What's a good
Well,
breakfast?
is mix one a good breakfast?
Well, it could be, but I don't want to say mix one. What? Because maybe someone doesn't have mix one. What's a good breakfast? How do you start?
Key
the day?
lime for Bill would be an awesome. But outside of that, for Alex, you know, I'm a huge fan of steel cut oats. Sounds old-fashioned, sounds kind of ridiculous. I mean, oatmeal, come on, everyone knows it. It is one of the most amazing superfoods. You don't like oatmeal?
I like it.
Always
I like
hated
it.
oatmeal.
I'll eat it.
Since I
So
was
oatmeal's a good way to
this
start.
high, I hated oatmeal.
Okay.
Well,
So
what happened with oatmeal where like it used to be cut with something else? I don't know if it was cut with wood.
it was.
Or with a
Yeah, they had
dull blade, and now
back. They had
now
these.
it's all steel cut, and it's.
Well,
does it really mean something?
It only means sometimes that you're going to get a little bit more fiber per serving,
Okay.
and not necessarily per serving, but it's a little bit more heartier. You might like the steel cut, Bill.
Okay, I'll try it.
Try that. You know what's a really cool idea is take the steel cut oats, put them in a crock pot
Yeah.
with a couple sticks of cinnamon, some slices of some Granny Smith apples, and let it do it overnight. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That sounds pretty awesome.
That's really
I
awesome.
think he's listening.
Yeah.
That'll be a good one. But along with that, you know what's a great way to do it first thing in the morning is making sure you get some great antioxidant-rich fruits. Raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, darker the color, great antioxidants, huge fiber hit on top of that.
Right.
This is a really great way to start.
What's that berry over there?
These are grapes. And these are awesome.
Why are they
grapes.
so small?
They're tiny
They're
grapes.
champagne grapes. And what's cool about these guys is that, look at the color in these as well. Look how dark that is. Sometimes you use the red ones and the
They're
green
beautiful,
ones.
but they're really tiny.
And it tastes awesome.
And these are better than large grapes?
Yeah. Well,
Right.
honestly, I think they taste better.
Oh, they're really good.
Aren't those yummy?
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think the bottom line here for all of us is that we think in terms of being athletes. Mix one and, if you will, performance in general. All of us need to kind of consider that no matter what we're doing in life, we're all athletes on some level.
Yeah.
And feeding our bodies and feeding our minds like athletes need to balance our blood sugar, to fight inflammation, to do the things that we know can align with good chemistry,
Yeah.
to help us to thrive no matter what the playing field is. The boardroom, the baseball field, no matter what, good chemistry is good chemistry.
I'm buying all of this. I don't know if he is.
Well, when I was growing up, we had a phrase, sound mind, sound body, take your pick.
You didn't have to take your pick part. You just had to
So, now I chose half of both.
half of both.
Yeah, so,
Semi.
mentally I'm okay, and physically I'm okay, but I'm not a giant in either end. Which is where I like to be. Why not be average?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solid. Talking about plans, you were working on a book called Positivity Plan.
Right.
That was a good
Positivity,
segue.
I love that word.
Positivity Plan. And it reminded me of, at the agency we used to have this phrase, delusional positivity.
Which means?
Which means that positivity is hard for a lot of people to get into, and so if you say it's not real positivity, it's just you're deluding yourself, but it's okay. It's easier for people to bite that off, I think, at the beginning, and then eventually they can move to just regular old positivity. But you start with
It's sort of like
delusional.
positivity with training wheels.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
It's like positivity, but I know you're so cynical that you can't really get into that yet, so we'll call it delusional positivity. But tell us about the book, because I thought it was interesting, the connections you're making between mind and body.
Well, it's beautiful. I think for a lot of us, it's easy to be cynical these days.
Yeah.
There's just so much happening, and food industry is a great example of why
Everything's fucked up.
everything is absolutely.
You don't have to use that word.
It's upside down. It's not working on our greater good, if you will.
Yeah.
Here's what's awesome, Alex, is that the Positivity Plan was built on a lot of science based on how it is that, from a mindset and a physiology, there are a lot of core principles that we can practice every single day that literally do work empirically, objectively, to change our chemistry so our minds and our bodies can be performing in a more positive way. And these practices, these aren't daunting, laundry list of things you're going to do every day, but they're actually things that are really doable. Most of them are layups.
Yeah.
The whole idea is that
And everybody wants to be happy.
why not?
I think everyone wants to be happy, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have good guidelines on how to do it.
No, we don't.
We really don't.
No, there's not a lot of things that actually feel like they're representing what is sustainable happiness. Or we used to say in my house, irrevocable happiness, which is happiness that's not about the conditions around you. Good paycheck, great beautiful day, those things are all. But you should
Sweet car.
totally conditional happiness.
Right.
What's bigger than conditional happiness? Is the happiness that you can create this sort of that's resilience when things are not working so good on the outside.
Right.
It's working from your circle of influence and knowing that what you feed your body, what you feed your mind in terms of your thinking processes all can create a cascade and a chemistry that allows you to feel more positive. And I don't mean a Pollyannish sort of denial sort of way, but really sustainable positivity, so the things that you really do set your mind on achieving in your life, the kinds of relationships you want to build, the experiences you want to have day to day, are within your world to manifest, to take on, to create, because your chemistry says, you know what, I'm going to sustain the support to get there. I can see the ideas coming from actually feeding my mind to allow those to be created in the first place. And I have the opportunity to hold fast to the challenges that are always going to come at me. You know, Helen Keller, this wonderful thing she said is that characters never created when you're comfortable. And that's an important distinction for some.
When she said that, character no good.
And so with that, it's a thing that positivity for a lot of us is an opportunity for personal growth on so many levels, if you will.
Personal growth. Yes.
All right.
So I actually think this is really, really fascinating, and I'm wondering if, you know, we've had this incredible explosion and bubble in the economy, right? So we were all chasing those aspirations and those environment of happiness that we were trying to create outside ourselves, cars, homes, you know, clothes, etc. And that is collapsing, right? And we're in the midst of the economy contracting. Yet at the same time, we all still want to be happy. You know, I get the feeling that at least some people are starting to say, okay, what is that sphere of influence, as you put it? Well, it's right in here, right? And this, if I can figure out how, through food and, you know, what you're teaching, through, you know, the mind and the relationship and what you're teaching and what other people are teaching about, you know, the mind, if I can figure out how and have some tools, I can start here. And as the rest of this, you know, comes in, as I have less physical things, there's a potential to still be as happy or happier than I've ever been. Do you feel that? That's in the, out in the world, that there's that feeling from some people?
I think you hit it right in the nose, is that people are looking for a place that they can have, if you will, some control over something. And it's so interesting when you kind of bring yourself back to that circle of influence to what you do have infinite control over. Your thinking and your self-care.
Yeah.
And that's a cool
irrevocable happiness is a great phrase.
It really is. It's the happiness that transcends conditions.
Yeah.
It's when you allow yourself to really, if you will, look at where you can work from. Yeah. And what's cool about that, and I'm a believer in how quantum physics work, is that when you start here and you own it and you nail this part of your world, it starts to expand. Not because your ego says, I go out there and start doing something cool and start showing how cool it is for me, but people catch on to good. And if you will, I'm a big believer that wellness and positivity are contagious. They're the greatest virus going. When people see good things happening here, they want to see what's going on. They want to check into what you're doing in your world. What's he eating? What's he thinking about? Where's he spending his time and energy?
No, I know you got like insane. Like you're a good example of that, because you come in and it's like, oh God! There's like all this energy that comes in, and you're ripped, and you're just like, I want whatever is going on here. Just give me some of that. And so, you know, that's a great way to teach, and I think that you embody that. It's very cool.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate that.
I have so many friends right now. We're getting kind of away from food, but that's okay, because I think it's all connected. But I have so many friends right now that I'm talking to that are saying the same thing. I want to get rid of everything. So as we're having less potential to have things, right? The reaction is, I don't want anything anymore, right? So
this is the garage sale complex.
But what's funny about this, everyone's, you know, selling stuff and trying to pare down, yet no one can afford to buy anything that we're trying to get rid of. That's what I've noticed. Like, so anything you've got, it's like everyone's sort of starting to realize things are the enemy to some degree. And so as you're trying to pare down, other people are like, don't give me your crap. You know, even if it's free, it's like, I don't need that crap. So I've been like, basically giving away. I have a friend who's a monk, and I had this electric motorcycle that I didn't want, and I gave it to him because he needed a way to get around, but I almost felt bad. I was like, I know it's a thing and I'm sorry.
You burdened him.
I said, I'm going to burden you with this thing if that's okay, and you kind of need it. So it was a good swap.
That's
How did
fascinating.
he take it?
He loved it. He's like, what? He's like, you know, he doesn't have so many things that it's the enemy yet, right? It's like one thing. So
that's what's happening,
Yeah.
and that's so cool. Because it reminds me, I was talking to Bill just a moment ago about the whole that sort of minimalist movement, and how people are getting much more excited about foods that are really good for them, and their little gardens that they can have. It's their circle of influence again.
Yeah.
And knowing my food's coming from, knowing what I can be doing each morning to kind of cultivate that
And
experience.
The funny thing about food is you can have a lot of good food and it's never a burden because you eat it.
Right.
And you know what I mean? It's never like in a closet somewhere or in a garage where you're like thinking about where is that food
What do
that
you do
I've
with
got?
that broccoli? I've got that whole garage full of broccoli.
Yeah, I've got that warehouse of corn stored and I just can't figure out what to do with it,
Exactly.
So it's one of the greatest treats, I think, that we underinvest in as a culture. We should take much more of our paycheck and put it towards food, because it creates a lot more happiness than the other places that we're putting it. And culturally, we've been on this path of spending less and less on our food. What we spend on a calorie per dollar adjusted for inflation is much less today than it was in the 40s. We spent much more of our income on food in the 40s. I don't know if you remember this.
I didn't have any money. I was a child in the 40s.
Okay, I forget.
I was a
How old?
child.
Okay.
I had no money.
But anyway, it's a true
We
thing.
had-
I don't think that we've felt it necessarily. It's like you said, it's gradual.
In the 40s was the wartime, and it was all food was rationed anyway. So people were begging for food.
So in the 50s, like if you had a job, the portion of your paycheck that went to food is much higher than it is now in the aughts.
No, I spent a lot on Brooks Brothers clothes.
Yeah, but you spent more on food than you do now. Statistically.
Oh, you're saying I did, or I do, or it's said.
That you did. If you took $1, we'll just go through this one more time. If you took $1 back in 1950, I'm gonna make this up. 30 cents of every dollar went to food for the average American home.
I understand that.
Somewhere between 20 and 30 cents, I think. Now I think it's like 10 cents of the average dollar goes towards food. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember having that much money go to food.
You remember having $1?
On occasion.
Do you remember you'd have to cut it into pieces and it's difficult to remember, but more money did go to food statistically.
No, I don't remember. It never came up, is what I couldn't.
You never felt like you didn't have enough money for food.
Never in my life have I felt that.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah. You never spent that much money on stuff that doesn't matter, I don't think. Although he did have a Porsche once. He bought a Porsche.
I have a 356 Porsche,
Yeah.
brand new,
But how much was that brand new back in the day?
$5,000.
Yeah. So a Porsche was fairly reasonable back then. Yeah.
5,000, and I didn't think that was a whole bunch. But maybe it was, because I dreamed of holding a Porsche all my life.
Yeah. I don't know.
Let's get back to food.
Yeah. Let's talk about food. So what's next in terms of the clean food revolution? What do you think's coming?
I think there's some dynamic tension around that, Alex. There's a lot. We've decided that we were going to try to go into a market, sports nutrition, that is just riddled with a lot of funky ingredients, not far from clean as you can be.
Chemistry sets.
Yeah. Scrabble words. Things you'd win the game by doing one ingredient in your Scrabble game. You'd be done. We really believe that we're going to have an opportunity to do something really special the next few years, because I think there's a wonderful, there's a wonderful vulnerability in the space. So then consciousness of the athlete and the consumer is all really conspiring for our good, because we decided to do something that was clean and it's food.
Yeah.
And if you will, it doesn't look like it's unapproachable. It's not one of these things that has like DNA and all this crazy stuff on the bottle. People go, that's not for me. We try to create a product that was approachable, and that everyone can put their hearts around and go, you know what, this will work for me. It tastes good. It's got the protein, the antioxidants, and you know what? I like the message. It sounds like it's right for me.
Yeah. Are you going to go anywhere else? Any extensions? Maybe you can't say.
Yeah, we actually got some cool things we're doing right now. We got a product coming out in 3 weeks. It's called Lean Performance. It's going to be half the calories of regular mixed one.
Okay.
For someone who's a bit more calorie conscious, in terms of they feel they don't need to have 200 calories, which for an athlete is not a lot, but some folks say 100 is where I want to be.
100 is that magic number,
Boy,
sort of,
I mean,
right?
yeah, the 100-calorie cookies, the 100-calorie chips.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
But you know what? we're going to have one for 90 calories. That's our goal.
Yeah.
We also have a dark chocolate coming out.
It's got 10 less calories.
10, exactly. So you can do that much
This
more.
one goes to 90.
Exactly. So we're also doing dark chocolate.
Ooh.
It's going to be awesome.
Do whatever this was that we made, I gotta say.
I don't even know what that was.
It was good though. Would
It was-
would this be the closest to what we just made?
I think it would be. That's
Yeah.
the blueberry vanilla.
I'm gonna try that.
Or the meat.
Are you allowed to have 2 of these?
You can. In fact, Bill,
It's 400 calories though if you have 2 of these. Is that a
This is
little
which
much?
one?
for him?
That's the strawberry black raspberry combo.
Okay.
Yeah, this is very similar to. Let's do a little taste of it. This has got a little tang that this.
I think it's
doesn't
this guy.
It
This
may
guy
be
was so
that, yeah.
intense. I mean,
Maybe
awesome.
that.
Awesome stuff. Jero makes great products, but boy, that one.
It's really good.
You got to be ready to kind of, how should we say,
Pony up.
pony up for that guy.
Gird up
that's,
your loins.
That's varsity antioxidants
Yeah,
right
before
there.
you have
This is
some
a
of
tough
that.
choice between this and this.
Yeah,
This is great.
cool.
This is my favorite flavor right here. Mango. Right? That's mango?
That's the mango. Yep. So yeah, hey, the food thing. You know, you not talked about this a lot before. The cool thing about people right now, they're asking questions.
Yeah.
They want to know where their food has come from.
Yeah.
They want to know what's going to do for them. This whole thing of functional foods. You know, if I put this in my mouth, what's it going to do for me?
Yeah.
People are asking questions and they're becoming more aware.
Do you
That's
feel
very cool.
Do you feel like you are and you're going to continue to be just a voice out in the market saying, look, there's a lot wrong. We know how to fix this, and we know what real food is, and we know what it isn't, and you know, continue through Mix One, but beyond that, just take that message out there.
I pray for that, Alex. It's interesting. I feel like there's there's a window of opportunity right now, and the opportunity is because people are really tired of feeling sick and tired.
Yeah.
And when you have people in a place where they really kind of starting to feel like, spiritually they're becoming more awake, physically they're becoming more sedate. There's a window of opportunity in that space, and we can, I think, really hopefully help people understand that it's not a punitive situation to eat well. It's not daunting to take care of
But
yourself.
I have people who, you know, they'll watch the show, we'll talk about food, we'll talk about GMO, and they'll say, this is just friends, and they're so upset about the state of food, and they will say to me, will you fix this? You got to go fix this, right? And I don't feel like I'm in much of a position to fix it, but I do what I can, you know, and we do these shows and we do other things to try to get, you know, some of the information out there, and just genuinely, I think of it as genuinely say what we think, right? Right or wrong, just unafraid to say what we think, and that's got some value. I hope that you continue to do that too. That you just are out there saying what you think, and that you don't wind up with a bunch of conflicts and a bunch of reasons why you have to soft pedal the truth, because we need it right now.
I'm with you, my friend. Absolutely with you on that.
Well, it's really good to have you on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Look at these.
Look at these.
We'll be back next week, and thanks. We didn't get to any tweet questions, but thanks for watching, and we will see you next Thursday, where we will once again shoot the shit. That's fine.
Let's start some shit.
2 songs.
I'll get you